We'll be visiting a live steam working museum.
But first, we're back to South Africa to visit the Maclear branch, which at 171 miles is longer than many mainline routes in Europe. This branch has a fascinating history. It started life in 1896 as the privately owned Indui to Imfani Railway, which was built to exploit the coal reserves in the Indui area. The line is highly scenic and was a favourite haunt of both local and overseas enthusiasts until the end of steam operations in 1982. The two 19D class locos used on the special train in 1992 were the final steam motive power on this line. They were very successful branch line locos, seeing service in all parts of South Africa. Numbers 2692 and 2698 were from a batch built by Borsig between 1938 and 39. The mines around Indui declined in production as better quality coal was found in the Transvaal, and they finally closed in the late 1920s. Fortunately, the line has survived, affording spectacular views as it runs close to the foothills of the Drakensberg and Stormberg mountains. On the second day of the special working, the South African light didn't let us down. The train was split between the two locos to maximise photographic opportunities. we'll leave you with some magnificent mountain views which have made this line so popular with enthusiasts from all over the world.
Time now to look at one of the many steam specials that run on Britain's rails in 1994. The King class represented the pinnacle in the development of Great Western Railway four-cylinder express passenger locomotives. To many people, these 460s were the finest machines ever built, although some Great Western Railway enthusiasts preferred the Castle class, having a more graceful appearance. Certainly, both classes were capable of speeds in excess of 100 miles per hour. Number 6024, King Edward I, was rescued from Barry scrapyard, and it was only by a quirk of fate that it was there in the first place. Numbers 6023 and 6024 were sold on October the 10th, 1962 to T.W. Ward of Briton Ferry, Glamorgan, who quickly disposed of their locomotives. However, King's being banned west of Cardiff had been overlooked, and so the sale was cancelled and the pair resold to Woodham Brothers of Barry. What better place to see this locomotive than arriving at Bristol Temple Meads, a familiar sight in steam days. In April 1994, number 6024 ran an excursion from Kidderminster to Didcot and appeared to be in fine form. Let's compare the kings with the castles now and look at number 5029, Nunney Castle, seen here on the Severn Valley Railway. They are much lighter locos with a smaller boiler, giving them a sleeker appearance and earning them the nickname Greyhounds. These locos came into their own on the Cheltenham Flyer, which at one time was the fastest scheduled service anywhere in the world. We'll be having a closer look at the castles and kings in future programs. Over the Easter weekend of 1994, 5 locomotives were in steam to haul special workings between Crewe and Holyhead. This involved several light engine movements, and one such working was seen near Conway. The specials were part of a Farewell to BR series of events, and at the place with the unpronounceable name, we saw Sir Nigel Gresley plus a support coach making its way to Holyhead. The main train followed soon afterwards behind Stanier Pacific, Princess Margaret Rose, in standard Welsh weather conditions. Heavy rain.
The Railway Museum in Ljubljana, capital of Slovenia, houses a fine collection of steamable locomotives. This steam centre, similar to many in Britain, was an unusual find here in Slovenia. The Slovenian Railways Museum boasts more than 60 steam locomotives, 5 of which are currently operational. One example is a majestic 282 Type 06, which worked on the Slovenian mountain routes before the Second World War. Built in 1930 at the Borsig factory in Berlin, it certainly has all the appearance of an express passenger locomotive. Inside the half roundhouse, much work was being carried out on the restoration of other locos. In a nearby siding, a line of locos were waiting their turn for the workshops. Here we spoke to the director of the museum about the current situation. Professor Bogic, you're curator of this working steam museum. Can you tell me something of its history?
Well, it began in 1981. It was established this kind of railway structure. But the main collection is being collected in the 60s. We own now over 60 steam locomotives, but 5 of them are in working order.
And where do they come from? Are they all from Yugoslavia?
Well, yes, but originally they come from mostly from Austria, and there are some pieces from Germany, Hungary, Italy as well.
You say only 5 or 6 are in working order. Do you have plans to work on the others?
Well, I have my wishes, of course, but this is so difficult to get to raise the necessary money, you know. Well, we hope.
How do you go about getting money and publicity?
This is railway, you know. We are part of railway, and our vintage carriages are employed in tourism. And this is, I believe, very important for our state as well. We need to develop tourism.
Now, you have quite a staff here. Are they voluntary or paid?
No, they are paid. This is a regular workshop of the railways, and they must be paid.
What distance can you take the engines out?
Well, any distance you wish, if they are getting paid for.
As with many other countries, money is a vital factor in the survival of the centre, and every effort is being made to promote tourism using steam rail tours. The Slovenian Tourist Agency organised the first steam excursion in 1986, and since that time they've grown in frequency and popularity. During our visit, a special working was organised using number 03003. Designed for pulling express trains on the cast line between Ljubljana and Trieste, this class led a long and active life. 03002 was built in 1914 by the Viennese locomotive factory in Floridsdorf and remained in service until 1968, when it was retained as a preserved loco. There's no shortage of enthusiasm in the promotion and running of these trains. If you are near this area, do pay a visit and travel on one of the many excursions on offer. As well as enjoying it, you'll be helping a worthwhile project. In last week's programme, our trip to Indonesia revealed a wealth of industrial steam in Java, working the sugar mills and cane fields during the harvest season. The nearby island of Sumatra also uses steam locomotives for its oil palm plantations, but now these are rapidly decreasing.
Sumatra is a much larger island than Java and has a smaller population. The climate here is much wetter and more tropical. There are large rubber and oil palm plantations here, and some steam locos work at about half a dozen mills in the north of the island. Unlike sugarcane, there is no particular harvesting season for the oil palm, so the mills are in use throughout the year. Steam is very much on the decline now, but there is still much to be seen, such as the activity around Dolog Ilir. It's a large open-plan site with fascinating little 600mm gauge steam locos shunting in the yard. As the rain descended, a trip to the depot revealed evidence of the demise of steam here. Also to be seen was one of the large locomotives out of use, another sign of things to come, although some maintenance work still continues. Much transfer work is done between the various locations, and these oil trains make a fascinating sight as they trundle their way through the tropical landscape. The oil palm plantations give a cathedral-like appearance with the huge leaves bending over to form arches. Another large site is Mayang, with more repairs and maintenance being carried out, and still a fair amount of steam activity. Dolok Sinumba has a large allocation of locomotives. A fascinating feature of these engines is the curved smokebox identification sign. Road transport looks set to take over here, so sites like this seem certain to become a thing of the past fairly soon, leaving Java as the last outpost of working steam in Indonesia.
Working mainline steam in India will soon be a thing of the past, but we'll be going back in the next programme to look at some of the impressive broad gauge locomotives still in operation.
We'll also be visiting the city of Verona, the only place in Italy that has a depot which still houses a fleet of working steam locomotives.
And on the main lines in Britain, we'll be looking at some of the special workings. The next programme will be presented from the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway. So, until then, goodbye.
Goodbye.
As a boy, he survived the Great